Meeting for May 1st. Could we please rise for Pledge Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would just like to apologize for the delay. We had an executive session that went a little bit longer than expected. Can I get a roll call, please?
Mrs. Eisenberg? Mr. Hoffman?
Here.
Mr. Honcho?
Here.
Mrs. Hume?
Here.
Mr. Reitner?
Here.
Mr.
AP exams began today. They will continue for the next 2 weeks, and Keystone exams are the following 2 weeks. Last Friday, April 28th, the high school band, jazz band, choir, chamber singers, and treble choir performed for senior citizens as a preview for their concert tomorrow at 7 p.m. This Thursday, the sophomore class is going to the Philadelphia Zoo. Teacher Appreciation Week is the week of May 8th. Student Council is hosting for the teachers Dunkin' Donuts on Monday, Panera Lunches Tuesday, massages from Positive Touch in Topton on Wednesday, and a flower for each teacher on Thursday. The following day is the Keystone Kickoff. On May 10th, jazz band, chamber singers, and treble choir are performing at the Reading Phillies. Prom is May 12th at Sunnybrook Ballroom. The theme is Once Upon a Time. The Art and Music Banquet is on Wednesday, May 17th. Students will be recognized for their hard work in the arts. May 20th is the last BH Clothing Circle event of the year. They will be distributing free clothing from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. in the high school cafeteria. And lastly, graduation rehearsal is on Wednesday, May 24th. The senior awards are on May 30th at 8 a.m. and the baccalaureate is that evening. And graduation will be on May 31st at 6:30 p.m. in Keystone Hall in Kutztown University.
Thank you very much. Megan.
In high school athletics, boys tennis ended their season 2-11 last week. Softball plays at Lions Field tomorrow night for senior recognition and youth night at 6 o'clock. Baseball competes for the division title this week against Tulpehocken and Ole, and they must win both games to clinch the title. Boys volleyball has their senior night this Wednesday at home against Berks Catholic at 6, and the team is qualified for both county and district playoffs. Track and field competes in the last meet of the regular season tomorrow at Ole Valley, at the Shaner Invitational this weekend at Wyomissing, at the County Championship Firing Meet at Governor Mifflin, May 11th and 13th, and at the PIAA District Championships, May 19th and 20th at Shippensburg University. The PIAA state competition will be held for those who qualify the 26th and the 27th, also at Shippensburg University. At this point in time, most athletes have qualified for postseason competition for at least one event. And the Sports Banquet Awards Ceremony and Athlete Signing Day will be held in the high school auditorium on the evening of May 21st.
Thank you.
In the elementary school, kindergarten students will participate in their spring kinder concert on Wednesday, May 3rd in the intermediate middle school auditorium at 6 p.m. On May 15th, third grade students will participate in Step Up Day. They will visit the intermediate school, participate in a scavenger hunt, join fourth grade classes to ask questions, and eat lunch in the cafeteria with them. It provides a great transition opportunity for the students to see what is to come next year. On May 19th, thanks to the PTCs for funding this trip, second grade students will go on their field trip to the Reading Science Center and Crystal Cave. And on May 25th, the elementary school will have their annual field day. This year's field day will look a little different, with teams of students from all grade levels and a high school student as team captain for each group of students. At the end of the day, as long as weather permits, the Topton Fire Company will come out to spray the students with water from their fire hose.
In the intermediate school, homerooms are doing various projects to wrap up the year. There is an open house and spring concert on May 11th. On May 17th, the intermediate school reading Olympics competition takes place. And on May 30th, the intermediate school field day takes place. In the middle school, on May 8th, 8th grade takes a Gettysburg field trip to Gettysburg. On May 9th, the middle school reading Olympics competition takes place. There is a middle school spring concert on May 18th, and band and chorus will be going on a trip to Hershey to compete in the Trills and Thrills competition on May 19th. On May 31st, middle school will have their field day. Both schools, May 15th through the 19th is Spirit Week. On Monday, it's Neon Day. Tuesday is Disney Day. Wednesday is Superhero Day. Thursday is Throwback Thursday, wear clothes from previous eras. And Friday is Space Day. Both schools completed the first leg of the PSSA with the ELA test last week. Students will wrap up the testing with math and science this week. May 26th through the 29th, there is no school. On May 12th, there is an early dismissal, and June 1st is the last student day.
Is there any public comment at this time? Hearing none. Moving on to board of directors report. Can I get a motion in a second?
Motion.
Second Sheets.
Director's report this evening. We have the meeting minutes from the April 11th meeting. Are there any adjustments or changes that need to be made on those meeting minutes? Okay, none heard. We will approve those this evening. Those will be official minutes of the district. Under item B, those are first reading policies. So those are the ones you're seeing for the first time this evening. We have a Angel Fund attachment that is connected to our 808 Food Service Fund. So there's really no adjustments to the Food Service Fund policy, but the administrative regulation of making an Angel Fund is something new. So the concept behind that, if you have a chance to read through it, you'll kind of see the premise behind it, but it's to create an opportunity for those that want to give to the school district an account essentially that can be used to then disperse to individuals that may need help supporting the debt that they would have in the food service department. I think we all remember, but just for the edification of public, the food service account has to be its own account separate from any other school district account. It's the only one unique in school district budgeting, but it has to stand alone. And so that means that there can't be any debt associated with that. And we have been struggling a little bit with student debt this year. And so we thought this was a good way, a positive angle to that. Instead of talking more negatively about student debt, let's talk about the positive. If someone wants to contribute or support families that are in need, they can do that through this policy attachment now. There's really essentially two ways to do that. One is that they can target money to a designated individual, or two, they can give to the account, and then it would be more uniformly distributed to those that are in need. So that is what this policy is doing. It's to create an avenue, creating an avenue to be able to donate to the school district.
Is there a way to add that to our Infinite Campus so that when we add on funds for each child, you could add like an Angel Fund drop down?
It's a good idea. Nicole, I'm not sure if that's a possibility or not. I'm assuming that's something we can look into, though.
I look for Tom, but
That's why I look to you.
no, yeah, we would just have to coordinate. Trying to see technology. But
That might be an easy way to do it.
Great idea. Thank you. Excellent suggestion. 832 is a new policy. This is a new federal requirement where you have to have an electronic data, not a federal requirement, a state requirement, where we have to have an electronic data storage policy. And so that's what this policy basically is describing, is how we have a policy that's, and the process is to store our data for the school district. So if there's any questions about that, let us know, but that has been vetted by our firm that represents us for the technology side, the legal technology side, and they're the ones that drafted that policy and gave that to us. 909 is municipal government relations. Really no major updates there. There was a section in there about the state police and that you have to have an the local police, and you have to have an MOU with local police. That was in the municipal government relations policy, this 909, but it also appears in several other policies throughout the school district policies, more related to school safety. And so we felt it was duplicate to have it in here, because if something gets changed in one place, then you kind of have to track where the breadcrumbs to where this one might be. So it made more sense to remove it from here and keep it in more of our safety and security policies. It's already in there. It's not like we're removing something that's not already addressed. So that's the rationale for that removal. 910 community relations, no major updates. Senior motivators learning is a Smiles program. Just in case you are maybe not familiar with that, that allows residents in the school district that are senior citizens to come in and volunteer for the school district, and then they get essentially a credit that goes back to offset their property taxes. So it's a great initiative. It's a win-win because we have senior citizens coming in to work with our students, and vice versa. Then they get a little bit of support off of their property taxes. And then the last one is news media relations, and again, no major updates to address there. Any questions on the policies? Second reading policies are as presented. There was really no discussion of changes that had to be made, so those are as they were presented last meeting. And then we have item D, which is to appoint a school board treasurer. It's a 1-year term. It would be from July 1, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. It is the one position that is off cycle. As you probably remember from December, we did a process where we have elected the president, the vice president. The treasurer is not done in the December reorg. It's done separately during this time. So Mr. Sheets is currently the treasurer. And so I will turn it over to you, Mr. Wagaman, to proceed.
Mr. Sheets still interested in the role?
Still interested. Let's see, find somebody better to do the job. There's nobody this week, so. I mean,
The one position that's off cycle.
The
The one position that's off cycle is yours, right?
one oddball position.
Is everyone else in support of that?
It's not that it would ever happen, but if our serving our treasurer will lose re-election on election year, not saying that that would ever happen, how's that play?
It's a very good Mr. Pratt question.
Then you would have to appoint a new treasurer at your reorganization to serve till the end of that term for the next year, for the rest of the year.
I was just curious, I'm not saying that would ever happen.
No. Hey man, do you know something about it? I've been saying for years, I'll just keep doing this until you find somebody. There's no money missing. No money missing, so that would be the bare minimum.
And then finally, we have item E, which is to reaffirm Mr. Pratt or Saxon Stump as our school district solicitor of record. We actually just appointed Mr. Saxon Stump as our school district solicitor of record, but we thought it was important to do that again now to basically make it effective for this upcoming school year, the 23-24 school year. So we're jumping ahead instead of doing it in June. We thought we'd try to just get it done now. So I'll turn it over to you for committee.
No, it's no change in rate. Just make sure you read that part there too.
Sorry, should have addressed that.
Didn't see that.
Nobody
All right, moving on to committee reports. BCIU, Mrs. Hume.
Good evening, everyone. I submitted the written report as I always try to do. Just 2 additional comments beyond that. One of the things that the BCIU board did at its last meeting on April 20th was to celebrate the retirement of Mrs. Donna DeLoretta. She was the organization's chief financial officer and chief operations officer for the past 5 years. She served at the BCIU and other financial roles for 18 years. The reason why I'm sharing it with you is she's Brandywine Heights Area School District alumni. So if we have the opportunity, it might be nice for the district to send its thanks and well wishes for the work that she did and to stay in touch with a fairly accomplished and distinguished alumni. And then the second quick thing, the Angel Fund mentioned made me think of this. So across Berks County, there are more than 1,600 students experiencing homelessness. And so there's a Boy Scout in the Fleetwood School District, I believe, who's working in conjunction with the BCIU to do I think it's an Eagle Scout project related to collecting cosmetics and hygiene type items that would be donated to the 1,600 through districts so that those 1,600 some odd homeless kids could have access to just the basic daily necessities that probably everyone in this room absolutely takes for granted. So if you're interested in contributing to that, there's boxes at each of the IU locations. I drop my stuff off at the main office. And if you need help getting stuff there, I can help connect you to people. But I thought it was a really nice initiative for that young Eagle Scout. And certainly sort of shocking to learn that 1,600 young people across this county don't have a place to call home and don't have a place to take a shower and don't have a place to get dressed and ready for school. That's all I wanted to share for now. The next meeting is coming up soon. May 18th.
And there's an entire event for Down Line Wednesday, I think I'm gonna be going to, so I'll make sure that we get a letter on behalf of the school.
That's great. Yeah, it's a drop-in event, 2:30 to 4:30, I think, on the 3rd. Yeah. Thank you.
Mr. Sheets, BCTC.
Of course, I just left it in my mouth, I'm sorry. BCTC.
I was unable to make the last COLA meeting, but I'll pass it over to Mr. Pottinger to continue on. But one thing that I did want to note, I was excited to read that Governor Shapiro's 2023 proposed school budget has a mental health block grant for school districts at $100,000 minimum to the school districts that apply for it. And I just thought it was very promising to see that our governor is looking to do things to help our students who have been facing mental health challenges since, COVID and everything else that they have been going through. So that was just one little highlight I wanted to do before I passed it on to you.
So I actually did get, last meeting. We have had a legislative breakfast. So it was the COLA chairs, the BCIU that led an event with business managers, the superintendents, and then all the legislators within Berks County. Very well attended. We had a chance to talk about mandates, about mental health funding, and then we also had a chance to talk about staffing shortages. After that, the legislators gave their updates from their perspective of where they are with the budget. And Mr. Hefner, if you recall, last time we talked, we were very concerned about the timeline of the budget and understanding how that ripple effect impacts our decisions before theirs. And they actually, before I could even bring it up, addressed that and admitted that it's a flaw in the system. So,
Any solution to that?
they admitted it's a flaw in the system, sir. So it was at least good to hear that they've recognized that, though, quite honestly, and we'll see where that goes from there. So that is the update from the COLA perspective and some of the things that are happening on that lens.
Do you have any success in getting a representative to a meeting?
Yes. So thank you. One of the things that we are working on is trying to see if we can do a joint meeting between the townships and the borough and the school board. So that way it seems like our new Senator Pennychuck, has been able to get to some of those individual municipalities. They were at the borough of Topton. I understand they were going to the Longsalm Township in the near future. I'm not sure if they were at or scheduled to be at Rockland yet, but I thought it might be good for all the elected officials to join together, and even if we host it and kind of give that perspective of demographic changes that are happening within the community to set the stage, and then be able to have some of that communal dialogue with the representatives. That's what I'm working on. I don't know if it's going to come to fruition. If not, then we'll look to just do something more intimate just for us.
Very good.
Okay.
Policy Committee, Mrs. Wallweiser. Alrighty. Strategic planning and goals, Mrs. Eisenhardt.
Mr. Pottinger will be presenting what they've been working on through the year later on in the meeting.
Thank you. Negotiation and compensation committee, Mr. Sheets. Oh, Ms. Eisenhardt, sorry.
I'm good to talk about it if you want to.
No, I'm not ready for that. You didn't tell me.
Sorry, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Negotiations and compensation committee met with our Act 93 partners this past week. Contract. Sure, no problem. Act 93 employees are employees, they are administrators. When you're an Act 93 employee, you actually don't have a contract, you have an agreement, right? So it's different from the contract that we have with our professional employees. This is more of a gentle person's agreement about regarding compensation, fringe benefits, pay, etc. So your people basically that desk. From Miss Kelly down, that would be your Act 93 employees.
Okay, good. I know what to say for next time now. So I didn't know how far to go into it or what was that. So.
No, that's okay. That's
You
okay.
brief
I'm sorry.
me on that.
Yeah, I didn't realize I didn't brief you on that. That's my bad. I do apologize.
So I'm sorry, Mr. Wagaman, a little bit awkward, but can you tell me more about who is on the committee? Because last I understood, I was a member of that committee and I know nothing about this meeting.
So Ms. Eisenhardt is taking over as the chair, has taken over as the chair. I'm a member of the committee, Mr. Wagaman, and I'm not sure. I'm assuming you're still a member of the committee, but again, I'm not the chair any longer, so I don't know.
So how does the chair change without notifying the existing committee members?
It was a couple meetings ago that we just went, right? A couple meetings ago, it was during the reorg, right? Yeah, we talked about a slow transition because John is in school and has a lot of commitments. And I said, well, I'll take over, but for until like the end of it, I just kind of want to hop in and listen and understand so that I can take over and, not screw it up for them. So, so this meeting was the meeting where it was very informal. We got together, we reviewed any of the wants and needs, and if there was anything that was going to be, asked or presented change from the current agreement, and we just kind of brainstorm session. So,
okay. Well, thank you. That's how that makes me feel a little bit better. But I guess I'm confused and a little bit concerned. So I missed the December reorg meeting, but there was no communication to committee members that there were potential changes within the committee. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend. It's a rare occurrence because I have a pretty solid record of attendance. I guess maybe it should have been on me to pick up the phone and call and proactively say, hey, at the reorg, did anything change with the committee? Certainly, I would just ask that now I should be asking you if you're no longer the chair.
yeah.
My understanding is I'm an active member of the committee. So if it was just an accidental oversight that I wasn't aware that their Act 93 was getting together, you can't have too many people at those, initial conversation meetings, but certainly there should be communication going to all committee members about meetings called, and then reports back to committee members about the outcome and next steps. So I would just respectfully ask, I don't believe that's an out of line or unreasonable request. And since I never asked to be removed from the committee, I'm just a little bit surprised that we would conduct our committees in a way that we're not including and communicating to all members. So hopefully it was just an oversight.
Is it just
Yeah.
like an informal meeting, not
So,
really like an
yeah, it
official
was
thing?
an informal get together. Again, it was an ask session. Realistically, the committee structure, the committee person is appointed by the president, right? So the committee, when the committee changes, or the committee person changes, or the chair of the committee, when they change, it's up to that person to create and craft their own team that they want on that committee, unless there is oversight or instruction from the presiding officer that says, we need to have this person on the team. Realistically, there have been some things, like specifically with my committees, because I am having to take a step back. And I am having to take a step back from some of the responsibilities that I have here. You wouldn't know it with how much we're doing with the budget right now, but it is one of those things that, the only thing I can really say is, because there was a change, I'm sorry if there was any miscommunication or if anybody feels left out. But it was a miscommunication between myself and Alexis. So we'll get it hashed out.
Yeah, no problem. Well, it sounds like you don't have to worry about it if you're not
exactly.
the chair of the committee or involved in the committee. So thank you for your service on the
You're
committee.
Very welcome.
I would just like to communicate that if a new committee chair chooses to disband the old committee and reestablish a new one, that should occur at a public board meeting. And I would expect board members would be given the opportunity to raise their hand and say, hey, I'd like to either continue to participate or maybe as a new member, try and learn a new opportunity.
It was an oversight of mine that committee. I mean, I didn't call the meeting. I was invited to the meeting, and there was no talk of committee.
Okay.
Invited. So
yeah, so
I didn't.
Let's focus forward. Yeah, I don't mean to. And it's not, I feel bad. It's just protocol. Like it's a point of order in terms of, if we're going to have committees and have committee membership, then there should be some structure to how those committee members are communicated to and what action steps are taken in terms of rolling out news. So just point in time forward, it sounds like we can button that process up a little bit.
We'll have to look back at the reorg meeting to see what transpired and when that switch was. So
it will be in the minutes. So.
Mr. President, may I? Mr. Pratt, I believe in the past the PSBA had some kind of training on Act 93 employees. Am I imagining that, or
The PSBA had them train?
the School Board Association training?
I don't remember about any type of training for that.
For vaguely, huh?
For negotiations?
Yeah, for negotiations for Act 93 employees. No,
Not that I'm aware of.
You see, there's a difference between negotiations for Act 93 and what have you. I mean, people discuss what have you, but basically it's not exactly the same as a contract negotiation with
Meet and discuss, correct?
meet and discuss. That's what I was looking for. Could you provide Ms. Eisenhart maybe with some information on relative procedures?
I'll be happy to do so when she contacts me and asks me for that information. Yes.
I'm not setting up a date. I just want you to understand. Okay. All right. Thank you.
We'll make a date.
all right, building and construction committee.
So the items that are in the building construction committee are really the result of what is now on this agenda this evening. A lot of work has been done with the committee since the last meeting. There are 3 recommendations that have come out of that work. The first one is to partner with a company called Arcterra. It is a local architect firm, but also a nationwide firm that really focuses in on high-end athletics facilities, everything from Major League Baseball and football down to local high school level events. And it's a resident in the school district, which is really nice. And so we have vetted that, did interviews, and have really reevaluated our whole entire position of where we are with the athletic project. So just to kind of give a quick update and recap of what started back in the summer, we had evaluated a couple different options for athletic facilities, and we were looking to invest here at the middle school. There was kind of the debate between the high school and the middle school. We originally were looking at the high school. We shifted gears to the middle school because of the initial cost proposal that was given to us through the ESCO project. And that then calibrated us and said, let's move over here. We had partnered with a company at that point and started really digging into the the regulations associated with that because of Toad Creek and being a high quality stream, which led us to the determination that it was not possible to build the entire track and turf system here within the middle school. So we reevaluated again, pivoted, and went to that was a nice COVID word, pivoted, went to the high school again and was working with a firm. Those costs ballooned well beyond past the point of what our budget was. So it forced the committee and the administration to reevaluate again. Where are we going? What's our priorities? What's our budget? And what can we do to ensure that we are still creating a athletic experience in this facility within the school district while also being budget conscious? And so that's what really made us pause and stop and readjust, and why we are recommending the Arcterra company this evening. That will be an investment in a grass field. So take the grass field that's there, basically redo the grass field that's over there at the high school, put a synthetic track in at the high school, add lighting to the high school, scoreboard, and then accessibility as well. So it's a lot of things we've been talking about, minus the strategic shift from going from a synthetic turf field to a grass field. And that really is the big change. It's going to come with some consternation maybe from the community, because there's a lot of people that have their heart set on a track, on a turf field. And understandably, we thought it was within reach, but again, as we evaluated numbers and we evaluated the costs associated, it quickly grew past the point of being able to afford that. So that's the shift of what we're looking at right now. And so the board this evening, when we get to the business section, has a contract with Arcterra, which will be the architect firm that we would partner with now, then to design that. The timeline to design, go through the permitting, and then the actual construction, we won't have this in place until not next year's track season, but the following year's track season. So it is a lengthy process to get us to that point. Yes. Okay. Thank you. I was kind of doing my cycle. So that's step one. The second one that the board evaluated was what are we going to do with this middle school field? So knowing we can't just abandon it and not do anything with it, it's a community resource, and it's quite honestly our field for our middle school sports. So we're going to do two things there. That's really step 2 and step 3. Step 2 is to partner with AASA. It's an engineering firm. It's the gentleman that came to our school board meeting back in the winter and had requested that the softball league partner with the school district and asked if they could receive the old lights from the stadium. He had an engineering firm. And if you remember at that meeting, he asked if there was anything he could ever do from an engineering side that he'd love to partner with us. And so we decided to make some strategic partnerships there. And he's going to help us develop and build an ADA accessible platform at the middle school so that we can solve that problem of accessibility here within this facility. If anyone has been at this facility, you know that it's a great venue. It's a great night on the bank, and lights are on and fun, but it doesn't really have any accessibility. And so that's really the goal there, is to solve that problem. And then the third one in conjunction with that is to invest in some field upgrades. And so that would include a maintenance plan, some field restoration, but primarily the biggest piece is to put an in-ground irrigation system into the field. If anyone remembers last year, the field's conditions before we even started the fall season were pretty bad. They were dry. It was dried out. The playing conditions were not good. Started to get lumps within the field because of the dryness. And so it caused a lot of issues for us. So this investing in a irrigation system will help to keep our ability to maintain that field through the dry season and into the fall season for soccer or for fall season sports. So those are the 3 recommendations. It puts us in a position where we are able to address and invest in both areas for our middle school and our high school sports, and still do it within the confines of what we have set aside for the building projects. That's where we are this evening, and those are in the business section for this evening. Looks like you have questions.
Well, I don't know if now's the
Sure.
time to ask some questions about that or if I should wait to.
Go ahead, let's do it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So a couple of things. So each of these initiatives, particularly the roughly $200,000 investment in the architect piece for the high school, how much of what we've already spent to date, or even if we haven't spent much, how much of the work we've invested is leverageable, or is this new company starting essentially from scratch?
We haven't spent any money, so that's the good news. We will. What we lost was 9 months, and so we will be starting from ground zero again. The reason for that is there was a lot of speculatory work that was happening behind the scenes, but nothing was done in terms of formal permits or actual plans, documents drafted at an architect or engineer level. So it is starting at ground zero.
So upon completion of this engagement with this architectural firm, we'll have plans, we'll we'll be positioned to get permits, but we won't have anything constructed. So what portion of the budget that we have earmarked for the high school changes is this roughly $200,000 investment in the planning phase?
Sorry, say it again. I'm not following you.
So we must have a budget for
Yep.
the high school piece.
Yes.
Can you reiterate how much is that budget just for the high school piece? Because this $200,000 investment, I'm trying to understand, all it does is get us positioned to take the next step, which we may or may not end up taking. Hopefully we take it.
Yep.
But it's a $200,000 investment, but it takes a chunk out of the pie that we've reserved for that initiative. I'm trying to understand the math. So is it 10%? Is it 5%? What is 10%?
It's right around just under 10%. And he's essentially going to, one, help us do all the legwork to develop that RFP. But he's also going to be, what we call the project manager, more so the project administrator. So he's going to be with us from, once we get the RFP results back, all the way through the project. So that's essentially where those services come in.
So it's a combination planning plus almost like GC type oversight work.
Yeah.
Okay. And is 10% industry standard for the role that we're engaging this gentleman and his firm to play?
It is less than what the previous company was when we evaluated their engineering fee. So hopefully that helps.
It does?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And in terms of turf fields now is the vision out there. Yeah, I'm sorry, not turf, grass fields is the vision out there. I had a 50-50 chance and I said the wrong thing, even though my brain was thinking the right thing. Sorry, thank you for correcting me. So grass fields at the high school. And from an athletic department perspective, from a building principal perspective, from a phys ed teacher perspective, have all of those voices been factored into the committee's work?
So yes and no. Yes, we've engaged with the athletic director. She's been involved in all the meetings. Administration, yes. We've talked with the high school, with the gym, the physical education teachers as well, but haven't engaged with them in terms of like, what are your needs? And we're not quite at that point yet we were just at the point of like, which direction are we going firm wise, and which direction we're going, turf or grass, and then really helping, then they'll help us with some of that layout discussions and flow and function side of it.
So the turf versus grass decision is purely financial. It's
Yes.
not needs driven, it's purely financial. We simply can't afford as a district, or we don't have an appetite to be able to spend that much money on a turf field.
Yes.
So it sounds like, and the architect's proposal is pretty detailed in terms of exactly what they're going to provide and what they're not going to provide. I didn't see any, and maybe I misread it or wasn't thorough enough in my interpretation, but I didn't see any
work engaged with the architecture around around needs assessment at the next level. So you're saying, yep, we made this big strategic decision, grass. And now we've got a whole nother litany of decisions in terms of what is the vision for that field. We know it's going to have improved lighting. We know it's going to have improved, drainage, all those kinds of things. But in terms of that next level of engagement around needs, defining needs, making sure we've got the next level of vision, how and when does that occur and with whom involved?
He actually specifically addressed that. He said that's our first next big step. So when we start the next round of meetings, it's going to be on those needs assessment questions.
Okay, and
So
that's with the committee?
That's with the committee and the architect. And so it'll be on us to be able to engage with students and faculty and those individuals that are going to be working in that space once it's complete, to be able to get some and generate some of those thoughts and ideas to give to the architect to help him then craft the vision.
And have those people who you plan to invite into the process and have the committee members been sort of shopping around their initial vision with schools like Kutztown, with schools like Foley, with schools like YO that have gone down this road and probably learned some really valuable lessons so that we don't have to relearn them. Let's use their lessons and their money so that we don't make those same mistakes potentially.
Yep, I know Sarah's been engaged with the Kutztown and the YMS because that's where we really started evaluating. We were evaluating turf or grass, like what was the benefits, what was the cost impact if we went with the grass versus the turf, and feasibility and those sort of things, because those are the two that do have a grass and not a turf field.
Right.
And so at that management, at that administrative level, those conversations have been engaged with.
That's fabulous. I would just encourage that at this next level, assuming we go forward tonight with the board approval, I would encourage those conversations to continue to happen. I mean, Kutztown's our neighbor, we work well. They all know you, you all know them. They just did this a few years ago.
Both of the firms have worked with these area schools and told us extensively about the projects. So we've heard a lot about them.
All right. Question specifically around this synthetic track. How many lane are we pursuing?
It'll either be a 6 or an 8. Okay. Right now, there's a capacity for an 8 that's there, but he's going to expand it even further. The goal is to expand the soccer field to make it a bigger playing surface area, and then that'll bump out. So basically, everything you imagine at the high school now, don't imagine it, because it's going to be essentially a new layout, same layout but a new layout.
And again, I don't have any expertise or even skin in the game in terms of athletes or anything like that, but I would recommend that we leverage the people who have deep expertise and knowledge. And I would also recommend, from a board perspective, that we look for a vision that positions us to be able to host sophisticated competitions. So to invest millions of dollars and then to learn after the fact that, oh, you only have 6 lanes, therefore you can't host a district meet, or you only have 6 lanes, whatever it is. I don't know all those specs. I'm just not that knowledgeable about this subject matter, but I hope that we're. Okay, yeah, but I mean, so that's one. There's probably 70 other decision points. So leverage the expertise so that we don't end up with something that works short term, but that when we look back, we go like, why didn't we make it bigger or better or different so that we can be positioned better for the future?
Yeah.
Okay.
May I just add that I think we did a very thorough job in your concerns. Mr. Horn works all over the country. He works for a professional. He's done professional artificial turfs. He completely reversed what we were told by the other company we were working with. Completely reversed his approach with a grass field from what they would take with a turf field. And I think the other members of the committee can surely back me up when I said I grilled the other guy as hard as I could. One of my problems was we have sinkholes in the area. Okay. And as we're determining what we can do and what we can't do, what we should do, shouldn't do, what have you, 2 little sinkholes show up on the field. Okay. Now it was a situation there, I guess one of the pipes came off in that. And I questioned the gentleman that we were working with, will you be drilling for looking for cavernous rock? Will you be doing all that probing? And can you guarantee that if we put a synthetic turf field in there, that we're not going to have a sinkhole show up one morning on 50-yard line? And he said, well, we will do that, and we will guarantee that search there for 5 years. But they only guarantee the field for 7. Then it has to either be redone or completely refurbished. So do you take a chance? Do you take a chance? I don't think so. So there's many little things like that. I want to show you, Mrs. Hewen, I don't think anybody walked out of those meetings saying, we forgot to ask him something towards the end, okay? And I feel confident that Mr. Horn has the experience that you were looking for. He told us exactly down. I mean, it got to the point where Mrs. Eisenhart was tired of listening and telling us about all the little details that were important for the safety of the runners. And now I'm doing, and she's probably going to get tired of hearing me repeating it. But I want to guarantee you, in my mind, I'm okay with what we're doing and where we're headed. Okay.
Thank you for sharing that. So the committee structure is an interesting phenomenon, right? So the committee does all this hard work and has access to all that level of detail. And then, we as a board, the rest of us, the other 5 or 4, whatever the number is, sort of get periodic updates. And then boom, we're asked to approve an expenditure of $300,000. And so it's hard. There's that level of trust, but it's not even about trust. It's the communication from the committee outward. So I really appreciate you voicing your personal belief and understanding about the process you've been through and your level of confidence.
And part of that goes back to the first company we engaged was CoStars. So there was no need to go the route that we are now going. So we learned a whole heck of a lot over the 9 months back and forth with a company that was all encompassing from everything from engineer to manufacturing. So there was a whole lot of learning that went on that didn't cost us any money. As far as we learned an awful lot, probably more than I ever thought I would.
I think we avoided some major future problems by going in the direction we're going now. I mean, I was amazed at Mr. Horn's presentation to the detail, like I said, compared to what we were told by the other company, where the other company was going to go in there and they're going to dig this stuff out. They're going to go down there so many inches, so many feet if necessary, put down stone like a septic field to get the drainage, tear out the existing drainage that's there, and then build it up, and what have you. And Mr. Horn comes in and says, well, if you want grass, I'm going to build up. I'm not going to build down. And there's nothing wrong with your drainage system. All we have to do is put covers over that. He's going to use what's there. The other company was going to pull it out. Things like that, we had to be educated on the differences one way or the other. And we got a good education.
I mean, I think it was, he came and did a presentation and we weren't satisfied with the presentation. We started to get nervous and asking a lot more questions. So I think that we did our due diligence on our committee work. And, we found the questions we had to ask. So good to know.
Helpful. Thank you for sharing, committee members. Changing topics real quick. The irrigation system out here. What is the water source for the irrigation system?
So we have a direct water line that comes into the school district. We do that. We're not on the well. We're on the borough water line, public water line.
So chopped in borough water. Okay.
And there is a line right at the corner of the middle school field. If you can think of where that electrical panel is that controls the lights at the corner of the field there, right above it is a main line that we can tap into. So it's a very close ability to use the public water there.
And is there just an estimation, like high level, what our additional usage becomes over the course of a school year between fall sports and spring sports? And is there capacity for that? And do we understand the costs involved in that? As water becomes more and more precious.
Yeah, I do not have a cost estimate for you that, but we can work on seeing that if that company can provide that for you.
But tonight, we're being asked to support a vote on an irrigation system. But we don't know the cost
For the water.
of maintaining it.
But we can't predict the weather.
Yeah, we may not need it at all. We may not have to run that.
With the amount of rain we've had in the last few days, whatever, I'd say the irrigation system wouldn't have been turned on at all, and may not be turned on for another week or 2 or 3, depending until we get to the hot summer months. So, it's one of those things. If you don't do it and your field goes bad, then we just wasted money. I think this is an investment in protecting what we're about to do.
And honestly, we watered the entire last soccer season. I don't know that it was a giant bump that was noticed by the business operators.
I mean, and we have the sprinklers on now.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's been running, and I don't know that it was. Any other questions, discussions? Hearing none, can I get a roll call, please?
Mrs. Eisenhart?
Yes.
Mr. Hefner?
Yes.
Mr. Hohenfeld?
Yes.
Mrs. Hume?
Yes.
Mr. Reitauer?
Yes.
Mr. Sheets?
Yes.
Mr. Stubitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Wallizer? Yes. Mr. Wageman?
Yes. Second.
Motion right now.
Cool, thank you. So this evening we have the business and operations report. To begin, we have the bills list through May 1st. So to begin, we have the general funds totaling $287,654.09. Item B is the food service bills totaling $46,001.84. We have no construction fund bills for this period. And capital reserve, we have bills totaling $4,188.75. And then item E is the financial reports through March 31st. Items 1 through 4, we have the revenue and expense reports for each fund. Item 5, we have the investment schedule. Item 6, we have the student activities report. And item 7 is the budget transfers report, which we have nothing to report. So moving on to the special education pupil services part of the agenda, we have item 1 is to approve the tuition agreement with Hogan Learning Academy out of Fleetwood for a district student at a cost of $460 per day per student. That is an increase of $35 per day as attached. Item 2 is to approve the ESY agreement with Therapy Source for speech services beginning July 1 at a cost of $78 per hour. That is no increase from the prior year. And you will see as we get into the business and operations for not only this month, but June, we get into that part of we're starting to see those annual renewals. So the agenda will be pretty heavy, but a lot of them are renewals, essentially carryovers from the prior year. So moving back to item 3, we have to approve the ESY agreement with Capstone Academy for a district student at a cost of approximately $12,121.25. Item 4 is to approve another ESY tuition agreement with Opportunity School for a district student at a cost of $165 per day. That is no change in the rate from the prior year. Item 5 is to approve the 23 summer work experience assessment program known as SWEEP for special education students as attached. This program is scheduled for June 19th through July 26th. And I believe that's about 12 of our students. And item 6 is to approve an agreement with Keystone Deaf and Hard of Hearing Services out of Wyomissing for interpreter services at a cost of $58 an hour. And then item 7 is to approve an agreement with Bucksmont Academy at a cost of $193.72 per day. So the total anticipated cost is $3,900. We have nothing for this month under curriculum and technology. Moving into facilities maintenance, the first couple we just talked about. Item 1 is to proceed with Architera for construction architectural services for the planning for the high school track and natural grass athletic field. And that includes the automated irrigation system, new LED lighting,
pedestrian access in an amount not to exceed $192,605. Item 2 is to approve an agreement with Arthur A. Swallow Associates of Allentown, PA to design and secure permitting for the ADA Accessible Plaza platform at the top of the ISMS field right outside, at an approximate cost of $10,000. Item 3 is to ratify an agreement with Hummer Turfgrass to 1, install an irrigation system at the middle school soccer field. 2, and this is the ratification part, field restoration top dress using 60 ton of sand on a field surface in order to smooth and level surface and create a seed bed. And 3, the field maintenance plan as attached. And you'll see the costs broken out below. Item 4 is to approve a proposal with Alarm Tech Suppression out of Reading. They do the inspection and testing of the kitchen exhaust hoods. This is a renewal and no change in cost from the prior year. Item 5 is a 3-year proposal from Johnson Controls to inspect and service our fire alarm sprinkler systems at an annual cost of $15,829. This is a $500 increase from the prior year. Item 6 is to approve the proposal with Longacre out of Valley to replace the evaporator coil and outside condensing unit on the high school walk-in cooler at a cost of $8,385. Item 7 is to approve the CoStar's proposals with Division 9 contract flooring of Fleetwood to replace the flooring as detailed. We have the high school office, the middle school office, and the pupil services office. And as requested, you'll see the square footage is attached, and also the updates from the previous board meeting were emailed out as well, showing the square footage. So item 8 is to approve the contract with Carl Environmental Group of Monton, PA to abate pipe installation in the basement, storage, and hallway area at a total cost of $4,900. Item 9 is to approve the maintenance agreement with Honeywell for the elementary and ISMS building automation and preventative maintenance and service agreement for 5 years. You'll see it's an increase of $1,223 from the prior year for the first year in the agreement. Item 10 is to approve the 23-24 fuel bid with the BCIU as attached. We did the tank wagon and RLM fuel at the NYMEX price of $1.51 a gallon, and also the heating oil for the NYMEX Plus price of 0.5560 per gallon as attached. And item H is to approve the 23-24 PSBA standards package membership dues. We get the membership due piece and the policy maintenance package for a total cost of $11,565.38. That's an increase of $312.51 from the prior year. So item I is there's no cost associated, but we did want to have the board essentially approve it to ratify the 5-year rewards program agreement with BSN Sports for the purchase and supply of athletic apparel and equipment as attached. Essentially, this is a rewards program and a discount program. The high level is if we engage in this for each item we purchase, we get what's called points. And if we meet certain thresholds, then we'll essentially get money back or money towards future purchases. We also do get 40% off, I think, Nike and Under Armour, and also I think 10-15% off a variety of brands. So essentially, we're increasing our purchasing power by utilizing this option. Item J is to designate CBIZ Insurance Services as our 23-24 insurance broker. We do this annually, and then we should have the annual premium costs at the June board agenda. And item K, I would say that's the major one for this evening, to approve the 23-24 general fund proposed final budget totaling $36,006,202.70. This reflects a 1.5% real estate tax increase, or 1.0326 mils, for a total of 35.9844 mils as attached. Some notable items include it's a 1.5% tax increase as if we deem the worst case scenario. If the budget would remain as is, this would result in a real estate tax increase of approximately $58.50 to the median assessed property. Between now and the June, which is the final budget, the increase may be adjusted to a lower rate. However, we are saying that we will not exceed the rate at the final budget. And also, just to note, The final budget will be adopted on June 12th, 2023 at 6 p.m. This proposed final budget will be available for public inspection starting tomorrow, Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023. It'll be on the district website, or you can stop in for a hard copy. And item M is to approve the updated roster of bus drivers provided by Brandywine Transportation as attached. And as far as the budget goes, you'll see, as we have consistently throughout the budget process, there is a series of handouts, essentially detailing the changes that have been made since our last budget meeting. So I don't know if anybody has any questions.
I do, sorry. Not sorry, that's my job. It's your job too. I don't have to be the only one with questions. So, the Bucksmont Academy one, where is Bucksmont Academy? All the other, similar ones notate where the school is located, and I'm just not familiar. Bethlehem?
Yes, Bucksmont Academy, there are various locations on there.
Irrigation system, 62 grand, field restoration, 57 or 5,800, and then field maintenance plan, 8,475. Is that annually?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And there is a link. I just haven't been able to get there fast enough to answer the question myself. So if you'd be kind enough, the field maintenance plan annually for 8,000, roughly $500. What do we get for that? That's not like mowing kind of maintenance, right? That's more like keeping it green, keeping it weed free.
Yes.
Right, so I did look at that, but I got confused about all of this, because this isn't a contract, this is options.
Mike, you want to address that?
I'm trying to. Yeah, I think this is the one.
Yeah, so I think this is essentially where they do the fertilizer, the aeration.
Yeah, like they just did, where they just came in with
Correct.
loads of smelly soil and.
So this is the, because we're just doing the middle school. So
think it's called
one here is
herbicide.
if both fields are done.
So this is, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's just this one right here. So this is our cost for 2023 is 8,400 for the maintenance, and then that's what the increase in costs are over the years.
This quote is just for the first year.
Okay, but they've given us pricing
They've
for
given us pricing,
2024 and 2025 to give us an estimate. Okay, great, thank you for that. So there's an item that says approve a contract with Carl Environmental Group of Moton for abating pipe installation in the basement storage and hallway area, but what building? Middle school. Can you tell us a little more what the issue is? What do you mean by abate pipe insulation? What's happening?
There is some old asbestos insulation in the basement areas that are identified in our air plant. We've been slowly removing it as money allows and time allows. We're only allowed to move so many linear feet of it per year. So this is just to add on to what we removed last year during the construction project. That were into about the ceiling and some of the wall bases.
Okay, so asbestos removal. So with that in mind, Mike, because I'm with you, we've been doing this for a number of years, and as we manage projects here, how much more asbestos is in this building and our other buildings, if any?
The other two buildings are anything. This building is basically limited to areas behind the lockers where the radiators come off the roof of the drain. And a couple areas in the hallway, and those last couple areas in that bottom end of the building, under the auditorium, we're trying to.
And for what's not being removed this summer as part of this project we're about to vote on, you have a game plan in place, presumably, to chip away at these others. Do you have like a target time frame in what year will we be truly asbestos free?
Come down to the point of when we remove lockers like we had last
accessible that's out there at this point in time, other than a couple areas down in that bottom storage room where the study storage is. And once that's removed, we will have nothing visible after that. Everything either above the ceiling or inside the room. Everything's inspected. We just had a ear inspection. I should have the rest of that report within a month, which said everything's in good condition.
Great.
So it's not necessarily by a timeline, it's by a priority. So which ones are accessible and are visible? And that's the ones that we're addressing now, as Mr. Wetzel said. And then the secondary ones would be ones that are in the ceiling. The going at the bottom of the ramp to the middle school, going out that way, there's a lot of piping that has it, but it's all above the ceiling. And so it's there, it's accessible, but it's not really doing any harm because it's captured right now. And then the third one would be if we ever did major construction and remove lockers, that's where we would be able to get access to those.
So a lot of it happens when you disturb the site. essentially.
It's nothing.
Really, we don't have to do anything in those areas until we would disturb it,
Mhm.
or
Okay.
at least it starts to degrade itself.
So we're managing risk.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Appreciate that. I think that might be everything. Yes, thank you. Oh, there was one other thing, and I can't point to which contract, but one of the contracts, I think, related to the special ed schools. When I drilled in and read the contract, it seemed like it was an old contract. It referenced, I think, 2022-2023, and my read of what we're voting on is for the forthcoming year. So I know that's not particularly helpful. If I find it in the meantime, I'll point you to it. But one of those contracts seems stale to me as an attachment.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, could I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Hafner?
Yes.
Mr. Halsfeld?
Yeah.
Mrs. Ham?
Yes.
Breitauer?
Yes.
Second, Chief.
Something I said. So a couple items under superintendent report. Really, there's only one voting item. It's to approve ESY, which is our extended school year. We do ESY in conjunction with that Camp Spark we've run now for the last 2 or 3 years. And so it creates this camp experience for all students, including our special needs students as part of ESY. So that is the one agenda item. Questions on that? Okay. I'm going to pass this around. The last week, at the end of last week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I was up the Pennsylvania Rural Small Schools Conference. They are the company I sit on that board, and also they're one of the organizers that helped with the fair funding lawsuit. What they did is put together a very lengthy and detailed history of school funding, starting back with 1776 in the Constitution, all the way up through today. So there is a lot of legal citations in here and acts and school codes that are inclusive of the funding formula. But I'll just pass it around because I thought they handed it to us. It's a lot of research and effort that went into that. So if anyone wants a copy, I can absolutely get you a copy. But I thought I'd just share that. It might be something to be of interest as I now go through the goals document. So what I'd like to do this evening is just spend a couple minutes going through our annual goals document. This is an opportunity for me to celebrate a little bit and brag a little bit about the great work we've done as a school district. We go forth every year developing a set of goals. We do that as a joint process. As we know, Mrs. Eisenhart sits as the goals chair. As an administrative team, we derive the goals based off of the strategic plan. So the strategic plan is really our driving force. That creates a 5-year path for us. And then within each of those 5 years, we have specific tasks that we work on, which really become our goals. There are 5 different sections. There's a communications in the school of pride. There's a high quality instruction, safe and supportive learning environment, engagement and connections. And then finally, we have a facilities and resources set goal. Those 5 are constant. What happens though, are the tasks or the goals underneath those main buckets of goals. And so the first one is communication and school pride. The first one, we focused a lot of effort on communications and school pride this year. We rebranded with a new website. We did the app-based the app-based website now. Those things are up and running, but we wanted to make sure that we were capturing a lot of the great things happening within the school. So we developed communication teams. So at each building, there are select individuals that are our communication liaisons. They're capturing videos, capturing pictures, writing articles up, and then those get sent to the principal essentially to proof them and to get them posted on the district website. Likewise, Mrs. Bruner has done a phenomenal job of taking on really the marketing side of it and the communications side of it. She is the communications director and point of contact. So when there's emergencies that happen in the school district, when you get those communications, those got to either go out to the community and then more specifically to the board. She's the one crafting those. She also is doing a lot of the marketing side of things like that. She also has been the point of contact for our school website and setting up these communication teams. So we're doing a lot of emphasis and investment in communications with the idea of the more tentacles we have out there capturing the story, the more we can celebrate our students and the things that are happening within our school system. So that's the communications team side of it. A lot of inner workings that happen there, but some great things. Connected with that, we are doing a quarterly newsletter. For a while there, we were going in the board meetings and celebrating, having a few minutes to talk about the newsletter. We haven't been doing that too frequently anymore because we're kind of getting into a routine of them. But one was just released last week. If you haven't had a chance to look at it, I encourage you to do so. Part of that now is to do a student highlight section as well as an alumni highlight section. And we're partnering with the Education Foundation because the Education Foundation is creating a subcommittee that's focused on alumni relations. And so in conjunction with that, so we can highlight alumni, we're working with the Education Foundation. We also are going to start taking those newsletters. And while this sounds a little antiquated, we're going to create some hard copies of them and then put those strategically within the community at Jack's, Market Cafe, but also so community businesses. But also, I had an opportunity to meet with our clergy, which I do on a quarterly basis, and their suggestion was to put it at the voting booths. So we're going to have all those individuals that are coming through voting. It's a great opportunity to capture an audience that maybe we don't otherwise capture. And so we're going to reach out to our boroughs and municipalities tomorrow to try to get those inroads there as well. So again, great information there. And my goal is to reach individuals that are outside the school community and really within our broader community here. Increase the sign in the district. That is one of the things you'll start to see rebranding, refresh of district signs, some new district logoing. We've been doing a lot of this investment as well. The vinyl clings within the district to celebrate the school district. Social media presence. That's another big piece that we've been working on. Connecting our website and our ability to post is all connected together, so we can put something on the website and blast it out to the different individual social media accounts at the same time. They're really doing well at the building level. We've learned today that we need to bolster that at the district level. So we do have a district Facebook page. We have 26 followers. So everyone's homework tonight is to follow the district website, the district Facebook account.
But how much do the schools have? You have to give them their due diligence too.
Well over 1,000
Yeah.
each. So
yeah, you guys are all over 1,000, and Andrew was very dismayed that he wasn't.
I will share there is a district superintendent Facebook page that is not mine, that someone spoofed and made, and I have more followers than the district Facebook page. So there's that. All right. High quality instruction. A lot of emphasis obviously on communication and that effort. And really the goal of that is to tell our story, right? To connect with individuals within the school district boundaries, but also to connect with individuals within the school district boundaries that are not necessarily parents or otherwise affiliated with the school. So that's our one push there on the communication side. high quality instruction was the major secondary push for the school district this year. And so we talked about it really at the beginning of the school year, but there was a huge push to reevaluate our structure. And so we've reevaluated retesting and put a retesting policy in place district-wide. Late homework, looking at extra credit, standardized grading practices. So now we have, for every teacher, 60% is going to be summative assessments, 40% is formative assessments. That's a constant. Before that was not, we did not have any set standard for how a teacher was to grade. So those sound maybe like they're not major issues, but those are big programmatic issues as a teacher when you start looking at those. Those were done in collaboration with the association, with teacher buy-in, and as committee work. So we're proud of that because it got us to a level set that also set the stage for some next things that happened this year. So we put together a universal screener. Essentially what that is it's a skills assessment to evaluate where students are compared to what their standards should be at that certain grade level. And it gave us skills that they were either strong or that they had deficits in, and that we could then take that data and remediate. So we've been talking about intervention specialists. We highlighted Robin Basil this evening as an intervention specialist. We use those intervention specialists to then take that data from that universal screener, put the students in groups based off of their skills, and then provide them the necessary supports, whether in reading or in math. There's intervention specialists at the elementary school. There's intervention specialists in the intermediate middle school. Amy Rohrbach's here. Amy, little highlight. She's an intervention specialist here in the middle school. She is living this and breathing this daily. And then there's also support at the high school. Their job is to evaluate those screeners, take that data, and then continually support students. Primarily based off that data, but also based off of classroom data as well. And so if there's assessment data that is coming in that is also in tandem with that universal screener, we're pulling those students out and working with them. Primarily through pull out, but also through some push in. Yes. So right now there are 3 intervention specialists in the intermediate and middle school. That those individuals then share the time between reading and math. Yeah. Equal. She asked about how much time is spent between reading and math. About equal. Yeah. High school, we have 1 intervention specialist at the high school. But so that's a good segue. Thank you. So we also reevaluated our entire schedule at the secondary level, middle and high school, and we added an extra half hour onto the day. And so what that afforded us to do was create and we call it AIM block, but a remediation block at the high school. And so that's really how we were able to capture and support those students at the high school. So we used the universal screener data as well as the classroom data, constantly looking at that, reevaluating, putting groups together. That intervention specialist is working with students during the day in conjunction with the learning support teachers. And then that block of time at the end of the day, those students are to go down and get that support from the students, from those teachers. No, absolutely not. That's correct. That's correct. Yep. And then conversely, that block is also, we have time set aside for students that may be struggling in a class. And like, I don't understand this concept, but I have a test tomorrow. And then they go down and can get that support from the classroom teacher as well, or sometimes even enrichment opportunities. So, but really the main emphasis of that was to create that intervention block to support our students. So that is really the main pieces that are happening with the instruction side. 2 other points that are kind of related. We also had to reevaluate and reinvent our induction plan. And so we created a 2-year induction plan this year. That's a new PDE requirement. We always have had an induction plan. It was a 1-year induction plan. That's now been modified to a 2-year. This year we had Mr. Pratt come in and provide a legal update, really the do's and don'ts of communication and social media for our new staff members. So he did a great job with that. And so that was a part of our expanded plan as we looked at the professionalism in a workplace environment. The other piece connected more to academics is we did a partnership with the BCIU and had Mr. Or Dr. Josh Hoyt come in. He is their math specialist at the BCIU. He came in and really spent many days with us evaluating our math curriculum and evaluating things that were happening within our classroom. So aside from the curriculum, he was looking at the instructional practices. Really what he found was that things were on the right track for us from a maths perspective. And so, Mr. Walker, do you want to share any other points to that?
Absolutely. So, just to be transparent with you, I believe one of my biggest concerns was simply the fact that I might be overseeing something. So, I wanted to make sure we brought in somebody that really focuses heavily, really solely on that, to just come in and take.
The quality of those interns was phenomenal. there was good research resources and support for our students at the elementary school there. And then finally, we are looking at the whole process of mental health and the supports that we can do at the middle school, because that guidance counselor is at the elementary and the high school, that extra guidance counselor. The middle school, the reason why it's not as supported as the middle school is because we also have communities and schools at the middle school, and that provides supports. That's that partnership grant between Kutztown, Fleetwood, and Brandywine. And so we get a 2/3 staff member here in the school district supporting the middle school students. So I feel like we've done a lot to invest in mental health and supporting our students, and that continues to be an emphasis for us. We also received last year with the budget approval a grant for safety measures. That was a $120,000 grant that we're using to put exterior door sensors on all our doors throughout every exterior door in all 3 buildings with a camera at those doors. What that sensor will do is if that door would open there and be left ajar for some reason, it will send an alarm to the office, and then the office staff would be able to come down and evaluate and make sure that that door is shut. Maybe it just didn't shut all the way and it sends that alarm, or maybe someone propped it purposely. But either way, that is absolutely a safety concern, and we know that's the easiest way for an intruder to get in. So that's why we decided to invest in those funds to be able to do that. From a safety and supporting learning environment, there's also a goal in there about equitable experiences, and so we did free food Fridays in conjunction with the Education Foundation, and I'll speak to that in a little bit. We also have technology access and the Wi-Fi hotspots. Those continue to be a resource for our families. When we look at equitable resources, primarily students that are financially in concern is really the emphasis that we go on. And so also tiering some of those supports, whether it's technology, insurance, or some of those other things for families on the financial end. There's a few other items in there about dual enrollment and some other support mechanisms in place, particularly for our autistic support classroom and special education programming that's in there. I will just share that we just went through an audit with the special education program. So Mandy has had a lot on her shoulders as a first-year pupil services director, but that unofficially, because we can't say this yet, but unofficially went without any official, what are they called, right? Without any written reports. So a huge congratulations to Mandy and her team for that clean audit of the special ed department.
Quickly remind us, where did we land on the AP and dual enrollment? I remember you presented and then we talked about it in the budget workshop. I read your mind.
Well, it was in the Red Eagle today.
It was. I was just going to celebrate that. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, let me see if I can get my mind around this one again. So we presented during the budget work session, and we said that APs.
We were going to do the dual enrollment.
From memory, I believe we said if you are 3 over 2, we're going to pay for your AP exam, and then we were going to incentivize those that are full lunch. If you score 3 or higher, we're going to reimburse maybe 50. I have to double check my notes. It was reimbursed 50% for the whole cost of the test for those students. And then dual enrollment, we said that we were going to not move forward with a plan to reimburse individuals, as technically it's really, a college credit. However, we were going to pursue a grant, which I will not say.
You go ahead, go for it. Celebrate away.
So this is a little awkward. We, as the public school institution, have not received official confirmation, but there was.
So the
Red Eagle, I hope they got it right, because they said that there are 2 schools in Berks County that were awarded dual enrollment grants. So Mr. Farina submitted the grant on behalf of the school district, where we applied to get funding for students that are financially at risk to essentially offset the cost of dual enrollment for 2 years. We put in a maximum grant allowance, I believe, was $75,000, which again, based on our calculations, should cover students that are free and reduced through for 2 years to essentially take dual enrollment classes, and that will be covered by this grant. You know, the exact number of students that end up taking advantage of this, we still have to work with our high school to make sure that this information is shared with our students so they know about the opportunity. It is a little awkward that it's a 2-year and then it goes away unless there's future grant funding. But we're super excited about the fact that we're one of 2 schools in Berks County, and by far got the largest amount of money in Berks County for this amazing opportunity for our students. So it's something that we're extremely excited about.
That's awesome. Thank you.
We were awarded the full 75, you said.
Yeah.
Kutztown got 30. So, very good job.
Yeah.
We have a better grant
Turn his mic
writer.
off.
Yeah, exactly. Not that we're competitive.
So, fabulous, congratulations. And so now it's a marketing initiative to sell it to the moms and dads and kids to sign up for these opportunities, yeah. And so this becomes effective in the forthcoming school year.
Correct.
Great job.
So we have an official section where we submit our grant, and it still says it's being reviewed in progress.
Yeah, education.pa.gov, that's the second one.
Shocker, right? Yeah, so it's awesome. It's fantastic that it's posted there, but we're just dragging our feet a little bit.
Wait,
So-
I went through everything. I'm like, did I miss the announcement that we got this? Because when I saw the article, I was like, no one said anything about this yet. So and then I was like looking through the agenda, and I was like,
It honestly popped across my email as an
Yeah,
alert, and I ran over to his office and said, "Hey, this is awesome! We got the grant. We don't know that yet, but."
yeah.
Probably good news.
Moving on to engagement and connections. A lot of this is focused on the athletic program, and a lot of kudos to Sarah as she took over as the athletic director this year, putting a lot of emphasis in trying to build those connections with the youth programs, making strategic partnerships with the youth organizations, holding youth nights, having them come to those nights, military appreciation nights, a lot of different themed things that happened. And I can attest that there was an increase in student engagement and fan attendance at the games, which I think was a great outcome of her efforts there. So that's really a lot of the emphasis there within the first page of that section. The piece I'd like to really spend time on in this part is the Education Foundation. So that is a new foundation for the school district, and the purpose of the Education Foundation is to support the school district and really to not to necessarily supplant. So if there was a program that the district was running, their goal isn't to take that and now run it for the school district, but it is really to enhance the academic experience here within the school district. And so their first piece that they did as their launch and their kickoff was to do the free lunch Fridays. There was 11,643 meals they paid for this year so far. And so that does not include the free meals that were already included. Of those would have been 18,000 meals that happened every Friday. This is just for those families or those students on a Friday. The really crux behind that was to evaluate the bubble gap. So we know that there are our free and reduced lunch population is mid-30s%. We know that the majority of those are within free. And there is a very small amount that qualify for reduced lunch. So when you look at that data, then that means that there's a lot that are in really severe poverty, or the other assumption is there's a lot that are on that bubble where they don't qualify for reduced, but they're still struggling in the community. That's an anecdotal point because we don't necessarily have that, but we definitely see it within the classrooms. We see it within the student body. So that was really the emphasis of the Education Foundation's purpose for doing the Free Lunch Friday. And again, a great initiative and support for the community and our students. They also did to start to get some fundraising and to be able to support initiatives like this. They did an 80s night, and thanks to Mr. Wagaman and his team, they really put together a great night in conjunction with the Education Foundation as the first big kickoff for the Education Foundation. There is a 5K run that's happening this Saturday. So if anyone is interested, that is a great opportunity as well. And then the third thing is they're applying for EITC funds. Those are tax credit funds that can, once you are an eligible organization, can go to different businesses and have them provide EITC funding, which that organization then gets a tax credit. So a lot of positive things that are happening within the Education Foundation as their first year. And then finally, they continue to support the Y program, the after school program in the middle school, and that continues to be a great success. We were able to recognize Michelle Moore this evening as a staff member retiring. She's been the spearhead behind that program for the last several years, really driving that to a great point in terms of being a balance between supporting kids after school, creating fun opportunities, but also academic enrichment opportunities. So she's had career things in, she's had STEM initiatives that are going on. They do cooking, they do all kinds of fun things within that group. So finally, we have the facilities and resources. It's the final goal. This is really the backbone part of the school district. New computer staff devices this year. That was a rollout. That always is a big rollout, but that went really flawlessly. And a lot of credit to you as a board. If you remember, Mr. Volker approached you last year during budget and said, can we have some money up front so we can buy these devices before that July 1 time? And then we can get them in and start to get them imaged and ready. And because of that, it was a flawless rollout. So huge credit for his forward thinking, but your forward thinking as a board to go along with that. New student information management system, Infinite Campus, and that rattles off a whole bunch of other things that tied into a new registration system, that tied into a new special education management system, that tied into a new food service system, that tied into a new athletic registration process system, new parent portal, a new payment portal for payment for Mrs. Eisenhart mentioned the food service program. That's a new payment program. There's a new electronic absence program as well. So there was a host of inner workings that went just along with that Infinite Campus, and that was a lot of legwork, particularly at the beginning of the school year to get us to where we are now. On the technology backbone, we are looking at new switches and new servers. That's part of our E-rate funding. Those E-rate funds come in a cyclic process, and then we purposely tie together some of those backbone pieces that cost a lot of money to get those reimbursed and offset some of those costs. So we are in the process of bidding out the network switches and servers right now. We also have a painting plan we put together. So we did building walkthroughs this year, evaluated all 3 buildings, everything from molding that wasn't quite right to more strategic, bigger initiatives that had to be done from a facilities perspective. One of those was developing the painting plan. We advertised 4 painters, and there's 13 individuals that applied for that role over the summer. So that's a great. So we're in the process of interviewing for those, and there is one candidate to approve this evening. That's a recommended candidate. And then we did the building construction committee. We've talked about that already, so I don't think I need to go into that. But that's been a lot of work by that committee this year. Unfortunately, we kind of had to restart, but it's still a lot of work. And then the final piece is we are in the process of reevaluating the e-finance program and that whole platform that this business office is using. We had to upgrade that, and so that is going through a major transition. And then next year we'll further reevaluate that further about the longevity and the next steps with that platform in the business office. That is a lot of stuff, but that is a huge credit to that administrative team sitting over there for all their work to put this into their goals, to develop these, to carry out those, to keep those at the forefront of what they're doing. We go through a beginning of the year goals meeting, we go through a mid-year goals meeting, and now we'll go through an end of year goals meeting. And their goals are driven based off of this document. And so again, it's a purposeful strategic plan of how we develop these and carry these out. But it is a lot of work and a huge credit to the team here, but also all the staff that are involved. And it really takes all of us to be able to accomplish these things. Thank you.
Mr. Honcho? Mrs. Hughes?
Yes.
Mr. Reithammer?
Yes.
Mr. Sheets?
Yes.
Mr. Subitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Wallheiser? Yes. Mrs. Eisenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Sheets?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mrs. Smallweiser?
Yeah.
Mrs. Eisenhardt?
Yes.
Mr. Heffner?
Yes.
Mr. Hohenfeld?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Wagoner?
Yes.
9 yeas, motion passes.
Is there any additional public comment? Any additional board comment?
I have one quick item potentially for new business. So earlier in the meeting, I mentioned distinguished alumni that is retiring from the BCIU. And Mr. Potter, I think in your comments about the Education Foundation, did you mention something about an alumni database or something there?
They are working to develop that within the Education Foundation. There's a subcommittee focused just on alumni relations.
Fabulous. Okay. So the thought I had was we do the New Heights Award and we recognize retirees. Maybe this exists. I think we have an Athletic Hall of Fame. What I'm thinking, the idea that I wanted to toss out to the board and to the administration and see, I don't know if you have interest, but it dawned on me, maybe it would be cool if we did an annual award for a distinguished alumni. I know many of the higher ed institutions do that. And the BCIU, has a distinguished community partner. So that's different than an alumni. But, I think it might be a pretty low cost way once a year for us to identify a candidate or two and give them some publicity and give Brandywine some publicity and also give our students somebody, a career professional who's had some kind of diverse, distinguished career, someone to look up to. So food for thought. I think it's low cost, low budget, but
It's funny you mentioned that because that's almost the exact same platform I shared with the Education Foundation at their last meeting. So there hasn't been something that's been crystallized, but the idea has been put out there. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I'm excited that we will see something along those lines.
Okay, but you think the Education Foundation will drive it as opposed to the district?
I'm trying to have the Education Foundation drive because I think that would be a really good alumni relations piece of it and help them get a little traction.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I see an absolute link there in terms of fundraising, right? So reaching out in terms of philanthropy, getting donations, business development, that kind of angle. I was thinking more in terms of district rather than foundation, but, proceed, accordingly. But I think it'd be cool to have this board offer or introduced an annual award for a distinguished alumni.
Maybe it's something in conjunction. It's a district thing, and then there's some kind of partnership. We'll figure that out.
Yeah.
More to come.
So we
In the
might
works.
get
So much-
recommendations from
Yeah.
their alumni database if they're sort of owning the management and development and harvesting of that database.
Right.
But so they might flip us a handful of strong candidates.
Yeah.
And then we, might go through a little bit of a process to say, hey, this is the person we want this year to be featured, and future years we can pick others.
Good idea. Yeah, but like I said, that was on my mind as well. I saw that done successfully in other organizations. I'd like to emulate that.